Jarrell Correll Jr. Was a petty officer first class when I left the Navy. We also, and you see it in the news today about the Russian ships antagonizing American ships, that used to happen all the time. And that happened to us in the Indian Ocean, I believe, where a Russian frigate got very close to us. So as a sonarman, we kind of would antagonize them too, and the sonar that we had at the time put out a lot of noise and a lot of energy in the water, so we trained our sonar on them and we just pinged the heck out of them, just to, you know, be annoying, I guess. The old 23 system, of course older systems, not as accurate, good system. The ANSQS 26CX was the Navy's longest range active sonar. Now we don't like to ping a lot, basically send out active sounds. We do a lot of passive listening, because when you send out an active sound, that also lets the other person or your enemy know where you're at. But we can actually track by sound, and you would listen for things. We had a couple of the systems on board. We had a system for listening to sounds from sonar buoys dropped by helicopters. We would set up a screen of sonar buoys. The helicopter would go out and drop sonar buoys to make basically a kind of a wall of sensors. And then that information would feed back to us through the helicopter, and we would be able to look at the sound generated. So we would look for things like sounds given off by generators, electric generators. And it's easy to determine a U.S. ship from a foreign ship because we work on a 60 cycle electricity. So there's 60 cycles versus their 50. So we could easily go and say, okay, that's not ours, it's somebody else. And then we had information in regards to sounds that certain ships and submarines would give off, because Navy intelligence would record that information. So if a submarine had props made, propellers made somewhere, and they found out that there was a defect in the making of those props, and when the props turned in the water, it gave off a certain sound, we could actually tell you exactly which submarine it was, the name of the submarine. So sometimes we could do that because they do it, we do it. We'll sit outside shipyards and we'll record sounds, take pictures, and so on and so forth. So as a sonarman, we had a library of information about ships, what kind of sounds we could expect from them, what kind of machinery were on board, what kind of sounds the machinery made. We also had on board, submarines have an advantage because they're part of the ocean, so they pick up a lot of sound. But they also have the advantage that they can hide, and by that I mean, as you go down in the ocean, you have factors that affect sound, like salinity, content, how much salt in the water, temperature, pressure. So, and also the bottom of the ocean, how rocky it is or smooth. That all affected how far sound would travel or how much sound gets scattered about. What submarines can do is they go below what they call a thermal layer. And that layer is where they go down into the cold. And it's almost like shutting a door. You know, you hear sounds coming from a room, you shut the door, and then you don't hear it as much. Well, a thermal layer bounces sound back. So the Navy developed a system, the ANSQS 35 IVDS, which is variable depth sonar. And it looked like one of those goldfish crackers on a big cable. So we would drop that cable down to get down below those layers so that we could hear or ping, it was an active sonar as well, and detect submarines better when we needed to. Later on, the Navy developed a system called the ANSQR-18 TACTAS. What that was an attachment to the back of that goldfish, if you will, that we would drop down. And it was a hydrophone array that all it did was listen. And it was a new piece of equipment for us when I was on board. And it was very sensitive. And there was, I forget how many hydrophones are in this tail. We called it the tail. And we could drop that down and listen. And we could pick up things you just wouldn't believe. But like I said, we had a library of things that, you know, sounds certain ships would make, different classes of Russian submarine, or anybody actually, Alpha, Kilo, Yankee class submarines, what sounds they would give off. And some of those ships had telltale signs where we, like I said earlier, we could actually tell exactly what ship it was. Not just the class of ship or what Navy it might be in, but the actual ship itself. And of course, they could do it to us. So, and that's what we did.